Welcome to Biblical Greek. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about prepositions. Prepositions are very important in biblical Greek exegesis. Now, what does that word preposition mean? Preposition is coming from the Latin word prepositum. Pre means before, position is, of course, placement. So preposition is that word that is placed before the noun to explain its relationship to the person that it's referring to. So with something, or by something, or into somewhere. All those are preposition, with, by, in. Those are prepositions that tell us exactly the relationship of that person or thing to this noun. What is happening? How is it working out? It clarifies what is really happening. Now, at one time, prepositions were kind of demanded by the cases. The accusative, the genitive, the dative cases demanded prepositions to help assist in clarifying meaning. But somehow in the development of the Greek language, prepositions kind of took the center stage, and now the cases sort of support the prepositions. And so we're going to learn all of that kind of in detail as we go further in this lesson. Now, in the Greek, there are many prepositions. Some of them you'll see often. Dr. Black talks about them. They are the single case prepositions, which means they basically work with one particular case, like the genitive case or like the accusative case. So you don't find them as in genitive and accusative. There are times prepositions are found in three cases: accusative, genitive, and dative. And that same preposition is translated differently in those three cases or two cases. But let's quickly go over those prepositions that are translated just one way in this one particular case in which it is found. The first one would be apo. Apo always takes the genitive case. It's a single case preposition, and it always means away from something. Okay? So it's always found in that genitive case. I received the book from the brother. So think about that. It's not just like the brother had the book, but from the brother. So brother had it, and this book was taken away from him. Okay, so don't think about it as away from means there's some antagonism involved. Not really. It's just a grammatical away from. Brother had it, and it's been taken away from. Apo. Another preposition is ace. Ace. And ace is, again, a single case preposition that usually works with the accusative case. And it means into. Its core meaning is into. But it can also be to or for or in. For example, I walked into the house. Ace ton icon or acon. Ace ton acon. Acon is house. Into the house. Into is that preposition that comes before ton acon, the house, and it's telling us what is how I walked or where I walked. So that preposition, prepositum, is telling us how this person I walked is related to the house, into the house. Okay? So there's ace. Then there's also ek. Again, a single case preposition, and usually it is found taking the genitive case. So it has the meaning of out of. So out of as in from or by. And you just need to memorize those meanings. For example, I went out of the temple. Ek tu iriu. Ek tu hiriu. So ek is out of, and out of a house. Out of a house. I went out of a temple. So same thing. Then there's another one, en. En. En is again a single case preposition. It usually takes the dative case. We talked about, genitive and accusative, but this one takes a dative case and it has the meaning in as in within, or by, or with, or among. For example, I got lost in the crowd. It's not like Ace that I got lost into the crowd. No, I got lost in the crowd. In this case, my getting lost is the preposition helps us understand it happened among a group of people, a large group of people. So that's what prepositions do. And we use them all the time. I'm standing on this stage. That's on is a preposition. And so just need to think about how that preposition is functioning. So when you see those words, these are single case prepositions. So now let's talk about prepositions that take two cases. So, of course, this is one case prepositions. Now let's talk about the two case prepositions. The first one is dia. Dia is those prepositions that take two cases. For example, dia can take the accusative. Okay, and when it does that, dia tutab, it would be because of this. And again, this same dia word, this preposition can be with the genitive, and it becomes through. So dia to heriu becomes through the temple. So with accusative, it is because, but with genitive, it is through. So how do I know what to translate if dia is with an accusative or dia is with a genitive? How do I know that it should be because of or through? You have to memorize it. That's why vocabulary memorization is critical, is the most important thing you will do in learning biblical Greek. Of course, you can know all the grammar, New Testament Greek grammar or English grammar. You can buy all books on all the categories, whether it's verbs and aspect and pronouns and prepositions. You can get all these books, but if you don't memorize vocabulary, it's going to seriously limit your translation ability. So, dia is a two-case preposition. Another one is meta. Meta is also a two-case preposition. If it's with the accusative, it becomes after. For example, meta tauta is after these things. But the same word meta, this preposition, can be with a genitive and it becomes with. So met auton, and we're going to talk about that. Why does this sometimes become just met? Why is that the case? Well, we'll talk about that. But meta or met auton is with them, not after them. Because auton in this place is a genitive. Okay? Auton is a genitive. And because it's with a genitive, it becomes with them. And then there's also hooper. Hooper. Hooper, again, is a two-case preposition. If it's with an accusative, it becomes above. So hooper ton didaskalon means above the teacher, because ton didaskalon is an accusative. Remember didaskalon. Os, oi, aoi, on, us. This is ton didaskalon. It's accusative. So hooper, ton didaskalon, is above the teacher. But the same word hooper, if it's in the genitive, or if it's with a genitive, it becomes on behalf of. Hooper ton prabaton. Has the same kind of ending to prabatos, prabaton, and now it is for the sheep, or on behalf of the sheep. Another one, which is a two-case, is hupo. Hupo. Hupo, when it's with an accusative, it's under. So hupa exousion. Hupa exousion is under authority. But the same word hupa or hupo if it's in with a genitive, then it's hupa tu diabolou. Diabolos is the devil. Diabolou is in the genitive. There, hupa becomes by. So, hupa tu diabolou. Tu is that definite article for diabolou, is by the devil. So, keep that in mind. Okay? Hupa meaning by is used as for an agent, while the dative without a preposition is used for an instrument. These are some things that the more you study Greek, the more you translate, the more you go over these categories, the more it will make sense when you see them. One more, which is very important, is kata. You're going to see this one a lot. Kata. Again, kata has two uses, or two cases that it comes with. If it's with the accusative, it just becomes according to. Okay? So, kata ton namon. According to the law. But what if kata is with genitive, like kata tes ipsukes? Then it becomes against, which means against the soul. So you see how we have these two case genitives. And then one last one, peri. Peri. Okay? Again, you have to memorize these two translations. Peri can be approximately if it's with an accusative. Okay? For example, peritain, tritain, horan means about the third hour. Tritain horan is the third hour. So approximately around about the third hour. Now, it can also have a meaning of round when it's with the accusative. For example, aklos peri auton, round the crowd. Okay? But the same peri can be with a genitive, and it becomes concerning. So with an accusative, it is approximately or round the crowd, peri. But with a genitive, it is concerning. So peri ton necron, concerning the dead. Ton necron is the genitive of necros, concerning the dead. Those are the two case prepositions. Now, there are also three case prepositions, not that many, but enough for us to quickly look at them. And basically, I would say two. The first one is a famous one, it's a para. Para. When para comes with an accusative, it's like a motion to beside or alongside. Para, when is with an accusative case, it is a motion to beside or alongside. Example, balei auto paratin hadon, which means this: he throws it beside the way. In that case, para is functioning as beside. Another example, peripate para ten talasan. Peripate, he walks. Para, ten talasan. Ten talasan is the sea, so he walks beside the sea. You see how para is functioning as beside with an accusative. How about when para is with a genitive? With the genitive, it has a motion from beside, not just to beside or alongside, it has from beside. And I know it's kind of subtle, but here's an example. Anthropos para ton theon, or para tu theon, theou. It's a genitive, so not ton theon, tu theou. Tu theou is a genitive. Remember the theos is a os, declension, os oi, aoi, on, us, u, on. U is that singular genitive. So, anthropos para tu theou, a man from God. means he came from beside God. Okay? So it's not a man from God means standing beside God. No, it came from God. Now, these are subtle differences and distinctions that we need to understand. And that's why studying New Testament Greek is such a fascinating and such an interesting subject that scholars have been writing for centuries. Volumes have been written since the early church and right down to our day. Even now, there are PhD students who are doing dissertations on some aspect of a grammatical category in Paul's letter to the Ephesians or Peter's epistle or something in the Synoptic Gospels or something in John's Gospel. They're still searching and studying those fine nuances. This is why. And that's why you're taking this class, because it's so important. Here's another, because remember, para is a three case. We've looked at the accusative and the genitive, but it also comes with the dative. When it's with the dative, it's not to beside or from beside. It is to rest beside or rest beside. So, menusin par auto. Again, in this case, just like the meta, you have a par where the A drops off, just like it drops off in the meta. And you'll see that. And I'll explain that towards the end of the video. But in this case, when par or para is with a genitive, menusin par auto is, menusin is they remain. Meno is to remain. Menusin is that third person plural. They remain. Par auto is with him, rest beside. They stay beside. It has a kind of a locative use, location use. Again, a fine distinction, but a very important one. Now, one more, which is epi. Epi is also one of those prepositions, and that's pretty much the only ones under those three-case preposition category. Epi, when it comes with an accusative, or let's begin with a dative. When it's with a dative, it is upon. Upon. For example, epi-gay, gay earth. But here, gay is with a dative, so it has the outer subscript underneath it. So it becomes upon the earth. Epi can also be with a genitive. In this case, it's epigays, okay? And again, it has the idea of upon. So upon the earth, but it's a little different upon there. And then it can also be with the accusative. So epigain, upon earth. So it seems like the meanings are just about the same, but they're not. For example, think about the accusative, balei Allah epi tain gain tain kalein. He throws others on the good earth. In that case, gain is functioning as a accusative upon the earth. Mene epi te petra, he remains upon the earth. Okay, so in that case, again, the meaning is upon, and yet it is slightly different. And then, of course, the genitive is ep. It loses also the final letter there, that vowel. So with the genitive, it becomes in time of. Okay? So, ep heliu tu prophetu, in the time of Elijah the prophet. So, again, epi has three different uses with three different cases, and accusative and dative and genitive are slightly different, But again, those are ones that we need to memorize. So basic meaning is upon, and yet there's those fine distinctions. Now let's talk about why is it that the last letter drops off. The last letter dropping off is known as an elision. Elision of final vowels of prepositions. Dr. Black talks about it in his book on page 60. Prepositions other than peri and pro that end in a vowel, they drop the final vowel when the next word begins with a vowel. So, you see that? Meta autu, so the A drops off. And same thing with the epi, the way I explained, epi heliu, the A, or aliu. The A is a vowel, so again, the I, the E drops off. So that's something that you will see often, and need to keep that in mind when you see those familiar words, but the last letter is missing. It's a preposition. And what you're seeing there is what's known as the elision of the final vowel of those prepositions. So that concludes our lesson on prepositions. Again, these are very important words, and especially in exegesis, they help us understand the relationship of that person or thing with this noun. And they usually, and always really, come before the noun. And so that's why they are prepositum, before the position of the noun.